In this session, you'll look at the different media types: original, optimized, and proxy media. You'll learn how to recognize these different types of media and when to use them. And you'll look at ways of changing and checking for the types of media, or codecs as they are sometimes known. Again, when it comes to looking at optimized media, which is transcoded media, or original media, which is the media from your camera card, or in fact proxy media that you would create if you have a slow system, these have been discussed in earlier basic sections of the tutorial. But again, I'd like to include these all together under one heading here, basically as a reference so that you can come back to check. Original media, as the term says, is the original media from the camera. Now, it may be on a card, or you may have copied it, and this would be my suggestion to you, to copy all of your original media to your hard disk. So if we look here in this section here, this is the 18 footers, you can see that within this folder here, 18 footer footage, is the original media. Now you can see it's in the private folder. There's the AVCHD footage, and if we right click on that, we can again right click on this and show the package contents, and there's the video stream. These are the individual clips from that camera. When we import that into Final Cut, if we import this now by right-clicking and selecting import, or we could use this button here, but let's use the import method here. And when the import window comes up, we can look at a card. Here's the card here, and we can see the individual footage. Now we can select those clips and import those, as we've seen in the past, deciding to either copy the files to your hard disk or leave the files in place. You can choose obviously to optimize or create proxy media. Optimize will transcode the footage into ProRes for easier editing. You can also create proxy media. Now if you don't have either of these ticked, when you import these files now, come in and you can see how for a moment there were little circles telling you that the footage was being imported. These are now on your hard disk as original media. If we right click on here and select transcode, we now have the option to create optimized media or to create proxy media. If we do say let's create optimized media and say OK, that will take a second to do. You can see that it's happening here. If we now right click on it and look under transcode media, you'll see that optimized media is grayed out because it's already been optimized. If we were now to create proxy media and say OK to that, if we now right click on this and look at transcode media, both of them are grayed out, and we can't do any more because in fact we have both proxy and optimized media. So if we were to use this in an edit, let's select this point here and select an in point, and select point here and select an out point, and we will drag that into our timeline. There is the footage. If we look in here, we can use the optimized media or the proxy media. And you'll notice there's no change to the one that we had created proxy media for, but all of the other clips in this project didn't have proxy media, and so they have gone offline. Since we know that this clip here is 16:37:40, if we look in here for 16:37:40, there it is there. If we were to right click on that now and transcode that and create proxy media, now that we've created that, you can see that this clip now is available and it has popped up and is working in the timeline as well. If we now go back here and change this to optimize media, then everything is available again. Let's work with this clip, and we know that we haven't transcoded this clip, so that you can either make optimized media or proxy media. Let's just make proxy media for this clip. It's going through the process. Now we'll edit this clip into the timeline, so an in point and an out point, and drag it in here. And that clip has original media linked to it and proxy media. If we just check, it doesn't have optimized media. If we now change this to show proxy media, then all of those clips go offline. If we go back to selecting optimized media, so since that clip has both raw footage and proxy, then it's showing in both situations. Why would you use proxy media? Proxy media is needed in some cases, particularly on the slower computers, when you're working with multicam files. Proxy media is simply a smaller file that puts less stress on the processor. And so that if you are finding that you're getting drop frames, then it may pay to convert your footage into proxy media. And you've seen how to do that by selecting transcode media. The terms original media, proxy media, optimized media, ProRes are sometimes known as codecs. We can see what codecs are being used by checking on the references within Final Cut. If we look here, we are currently viewing in our browser by icon. If we select this selection here, as we've seen, we are looking at in a list view, so whichever clip we are working with selected in the list, it shows in this thumbnail view here. If we right click in this area here, we can select codecs, which will show us the codecs for the clips that are in the line here, and we'll notice that this particular clip is listed as H.264 with linear PMC. What this is saying to us is it's original camera footage and it hasn't been converted into ProRes or into optimized media. To check on that, if we right click on the thumbnail and transcode, we can see that it's still has available the ability to optimize and to create proxy, so in fact neither of these have been done. If I select create proxy media there and click on this, we'll notice that it's now created proxy media here, but it has not changed the codec showing in the codecs listing, because only one codec can show in this listing. What we could do though is go to the Info tab in the inspector, and if we look down here, we can see that we have available media, we have original media available, proxy media available, but not optimized media. If we right click on this now and transcode that again and select create optimized media and say OK, and then select on this clip, if we now look over here, you can see that optimized media is now green. This has been the final lesson in the organization and import section of our tutorial. There will follow a conclusion tutorial that will cover the details of the organization and importing into Final Cut Pro 10.